Hi, Starting Out Solitary. It's Pandora here. I'm subbing in for Inspiring Alien for your Tuesday here on Starting Out Solitary. And this week we're talking about colour correspondences for red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and black and white. So I'll start out by talking about why you would use colour correspondences in magic, and then I'll talk about the particular correspondences that I personally use and why. So colour is amazing. Colour is one of the main things that makes our world so beautiful and magical in and of itself. Colour affects us psychologically, it affects our mood, and each colour has its own energy and its own vibrational frequency. So for that reason alone, you could use colour in magic. For myself, I work more magic more for the psychological effect that it has on me, and so I will go with colours that affect my mood and that feel right for the type of magic that I'm doing. And there are different systems of colour correspondences. Different traditions will have their own system and their own correspondences for the colours, just like everything else, like the planets and herbs and crystals and that kind of thing as well. I personally think that it's better to go with your own intuition and what feels right for you in this case. Everybody has their own relationship to colour, and I really want to emphasise that what colour correspondences work for me and what the colours mean to me may not be the same for you. We all go through the world and have our own experiences and can relate different experiences to different colours, just like anything else, like different scents and what have you. And so for that reason, I would argue that it is always best to go with what feels right for you when it comes to colour. And so a lot of my colour correspondences I first learned in books like this one, and this is Witchcraft: A Beginner's Guide by Teresa Mori. It is the second book that I ever owned on witchcraft. And I don't think it's actually in print anymore, but it's a really beautiful little book, and you've got your little list of magical correspondences here. So she'll go through which herbs to use, different deities, crystals, stones, all of that stuff, and then she's got colours as well. And I will still use a lot of the colour correspondences out of this book, so the correspondences that I use to this day are very similar to this, and it's just for that reason that it was one of the first things that I read and the way that I started out. And of course I have evolved somewhat, so there are still different things that I will use for different correspondences. However, a lot of them are still similar. So for red is a hot, fiery energy. So it's very passionate, very fast moving. It's one of the fastest vibrating colors on the color spectrum. So it is good for action, passion. It's associated with the planet Mars, so it is good for war, and not necessarily literal war, but any time that you're going into a metaphorical battle, like maybe you have to battle for energy, you're feeling low on energy, so you need that little bit of a fight to get you up and going and finish a project. Or it's also for passionate, sexual desire, as opposed to your emotional love, which you would probably more so use pink or green for. That's what I would use personally anyhow. And then orange is very good. I like to use orange for weight loss spells because it's an appetite suppressant, but it also vibrates quite fast, and it's a very energetic color, and it aligns with your solar plexus chakra. So if you work with chakra energy or with the system of the ancient Indian system of chakras, then colors will have that different correspondence for you as well. So orange is also very warm, it's very welcoming, and I find it good for easing anxiety and that kind of thing, especially if I use a nice piece of orange calcite, because I absolutely love calcite. Orange is a really beautiful color to use in magic as well, and it's also associated with, I think, the planet Saturn, so you can use it for banishing and all of that good stuff that is associated with Saturn. And then for yellow is very good for happiness and good cheer and boosting your mood, easing depression. And it's also good for the intellect, so it's associated with the planet Mercury, and for the chakras it's associated with your solar plexus chakra, which is to do with your personal power and your sovereignty and all of that good stuff. And it's also, because it's with associated with Mercury, it's also good for the mind and intellect. So it's a very stimulating color. It can help with your memory and good things like that. And then you've got beautiful green. Green is probably one of my most favorite colors to use in magic because I use it for healing and love as well as prosperity. So for me, it's very versatile. It is associated with the heart chakra in the chakra system. So it's a very loving color, helps open your heart and be more open to loving and giving your love to other people. I like to use a nice soft colored green, so similar to this one, for healing spells because it is a color of new growth. And you know, so many things in nature are green. I tend to have a lot of green on my altar. Both of my deity statues that I have on there at the moment are green, and I've got some green candles on there. And I often have a green altar cloth as well. I just love green and it's very versatile. I use it a lot. And then you've got blue. Blue is beautiful. It is associated with the throat chakra, so it is about communication as well. You could also think of yellow as being good for communication, but I tend to think of blue as a very good communication color, so good for truth. And also it's a very calming color. It's moving towards your more slow vibrating colors on the color spectrum, so it's very calming and soothing. Blue is wonderful and it's one of my favorite colors as well. It was my late mother-in-law's favorite color. And then you've got purple. So purple is a very spiritual color, and one lady who my sister-in-law used to learn color reading from used to say that purple can represent sadness as well, and it comes from that loneliness of being a very powerful person and being very spiritually powerful, but you're also lonely. So, you know, every color, I guess you could also give it a negative correspondence if you wanted to. And one thing that they ended up arguing and falling out about was that she didn't have brown in her system of color reading, and my sister-in-law didn't agree with that. She thinks that brown can be a magical color, and I would absolutely agree. I mean, you know, so many great things are brown, but she said no, it's just poo. And it's like, well, poo is also a good fertilizer, so there's always that positive to it, but I guess she had that negative to it. And so purple, of course, moving on, purple is associated with your crown chakra, so it's about that connection to the universe and all of the good spirituality and the spiritual experiences that come with that, with being aligned with your path and being open to messages from the universe, so all of that good stuff, intuition. One of my absolute other favorite crystals is amethyst, and amethyst, of course, is the most beautiful violet shade of purple, and it's such a spiritual stone, so good for awakening the psychic senses and psychic awareness and all of that good stuff. And yes, I love purple as well. I always make sure I keep some purple candles on hand, and I tend to wear purple a lot. I've also got purple hair at the moment. I kind of tied it away because I don't want to come on YouTube and you know, be trying to emulate Alvine because there's only one Alvine. But I do have purple hair at the moment. A lot of it is just to get rid of the yellow that was in my hair. I had blonde hair and it was very yellow, so I thought, well, I'll just dye it purple and eventually the yellow will come out. So yeah, I do really love purple, and I find that I gravitate towards purple clothing in stores, and I have to force myself to look at other colors when I'm clothes shopping. Like, I'll always just find that one purple thing and gravitate towards it, and I have to go, oh no, what about pink, what about blue, and remind myself that there are other colors that I can wear. So purple is one of my favorite colors, and I do use it in magic from time to time. And so moving on to white and black. So white is it is a color that contains all of the other colors on the spectrum. So white arguably is a color that can be substituted for other colors in magic, except for black, which black is the absence of color, and it's what happens when all of the colors are absorbed. I may have just said that incorrectly, I do apologize, but it's all of the colors on the spectrum are absorbed by black. I think that's right. And so black is the absence of color, and whereas, you know, if you get one of those color wheels and you spin it, it'll all turn white, and that's why white can be substituted for any color, any other color. So any of these colors, if you don't have candles or, you know, working cloths or other items or crystals in these colors, you can always substitute white if you need to. Some people disagree with that, but for me, I think you work with what you have. You don't like necessarily have to go out and buy a bunch of stuff. Like, I'm not one of these people who believes that you can substitute anything for absolutely anything else, but I do think that if you can get by and make do with what you have, then that is fantastic. So yeah, on its own though, white is also very good for peace and spirituality and stuff like that. So white is really beautiful, and it's represents purity as well. So you know, that's why traditionally brides would wear it, although that's only actually been a tradition for the last couple of 100 years or so. Before that, the tradition was that women would just wear their best dress or just dress up in their Sunday best to get married. And it's only been, you know, in the past few centuries that wedding dresses in white have been a thing, and it's still really popular for brides to wear white at their weddings. I wore white at my wedding, with, you know, little purple beads and stuff. It was beautiful. And yeah, so it is also associated with purity, and so yeah, it's just beautiful, and I love white. I like to use white candles quite a lot because I find that it's really good to meditate with and help me to just reset my energy and clear my mind and all of that good stuff. So I love white. And black. Black is one of my favorite ever colored candles to use. I always keep a stash of black candles on hand because I use it a lot for banishing, absorbing negative emotions. You know, you could use it in binding and hexing if you wanted to, if that's a part of your path. But I use it a lot for banishing and for helping me reset that negative energy. And quite often I will have a white candle and a black candle on my altar together. At the moment though, I've got just beeswax candles there, and I've got these little green candles that were given to me by Willow WildMoon. And black is fantastic. A lot of witches will wear black all the time to repel negativity, and also psychologically, a lot of professional people wear black suits because when you're wearing black, people will tend to take you more seriously. And you know, it also became a tradition for people to wear black at funerals to represent their grief and their loss, and as a mark of respect for the person who's passed. And I don't know too much about that tradition and where it came from, but black does have that association with death as well. So anytime when you're working with death, with accepting death and something in your life dying and passing away, for you to move on to something new, it's a good time to use black. I have used it for you know, some guys a couple of months ago did some fantastic videos on this channel about doing magical workings for emotional distress, and I absolutely will use black candles when I'm working magic for emotional distress, and that is the color that I will reach for. So I hope that you have enjoyed this video and gotten something out of it, and I thank you very much for watching it, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.